system into different parts. What were the different parts of the female reproductive system, guys? Gonads, then external genitalia, then glands, right? And glands where we are left with mammary glands. You remember the vulva region, guys? External genitalia, vestibule, right? Urethral, vaginal orifice, labia minora, majora, clitoris, right, guys? Mons, pubis, then uterus, fundus, body, cervix, perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium, fallopian tubes, oviducts, याद है ना, fimbriae, ostiole and all that. Okay. Now, when it comes to the mammary glands, it's a characteristic feature of class Mammalia, where the females show the presence of functional mammary glands. And these mammary glands are modified sweat glands. The sweat glands which have been modified. Okay. Prior to puberty, the mammary glands of both male and female is same. But as the girl enters into the age of sexual maturity, under the influence of the sex hormones, okay, like estrogen and other hormones also like thyroxine, the mammary glands get filled with an adipose tissue, with a lot of adipose tissue. If you see this particular slide over here, you will see that it is filled with adipose tissue. Got my point? So before pregnancy, there is a lot of adipose tissue over here. As a result of which the size of the gland will increase, and that is a sign of puberty, sexual maturity in a female child. Each mammary gland, each breast is made up of 15 to 20 lobules, mammary lobes. How many? 15 to 20, what was it? Mammary lobes. Understood my point? And each mammary lobe is made up of, do you see these grape-like structures? Each lobule is made of, see these grape-like structures. These grape-like structures are called as the alveoli, or it is called as the acini. So each breast is made up of, you see this one, what is this one? Lobule. Okay, such you have about 15 to 20 lobes. Got my point? And each lobe shows the presence of many milk producing structures, which is called as an alveoli or acini. And I think so this particular diagram I had showed you while I taught you prolactin and oxytocin. I had drawn it, that they are covered by a myoepithelial tissue. You remember? Oxytocin acts on the myoepithelial tissue and causes the milk release, milk ejection. And inside it is made up of milk producing cells, okay, which are secreting milk into this particular lumen. So each mammary gland is a modified dash gland, sweat gland. Mammary glands are made up of lobules, lobes. Each mammary gland is made up of about 15 to 20 lobes, and each lobe is made up of many alveoli or acini. Each alveolus or acinus is made up of milk secreting cells which secrete the milk into the lumen of the alveolus. Clear, everybody? Which type of glands are they? Mammary glands are modified. Each mammary gland is made up of 15 to 20 lobes. Okay, and each lobe is made up of many alveoli, and the alveolus is made up of milk secreting cells. Clear, all of you? Yes or no? Okay. Shall we continue? Okay. Now, what we find is these alveoli, they open into thin tubules which are called mammary tubules. So one alveolus will open into what? Tell me, into what? It will open into a mammary tubule. Okay, and now you are the monitor today. Okay, keep it there, should not go away, don't reload. Are you sleeping कुछ लोग properly? हाँ सुधा कहाँ थे हम लोग? हाँ. So what does the alveolus open into? Mammary tubules. Now Mr. Dubey, जो अभी नींद में है डूबे, यहाँ ध्यान. मिस्टर दुबे कहाँ गए? हाँ. Is it a mammary tubule or many mammary tubules I have shown? Many mammary tubules come together and they result in the formation of a duct. And what is the duct called, Bachilo? It's called as a mammary duct. Okay, not memory, mammary duct. So how is a mammary duct formed? By many mammary tubules. And a mammary tubule comes from one alveolus. Now तक पहुंचा दो आपने. Got my point? Yes or no? Then बच्चे लोग, let's बढ़े आगे. Now many mammary ducts. Where is Mr. Dubey? Look, Mr. Dubey. Many mammary ducts have come together, or many mammary ducts are opening into a dilated area, a little dilated area, and that dilated area is called as the ampulla. Got my point? Yes or no? And this ampulla is connected to a duct which is called as the lactiferous duct, and this lactiferous duct opens at the base of the nipple. Okay, so in a typical mammary gland, mammary gland, the nipple is an erectile tissue. You remember what is the meaning of the word erectile? I told you the meaning with reference to corpora cavernosa. At that time I told you. Okay? And this will be connected to your CNS. And what will open over there, lactiferous duct. The solar part will be called ampulla. Followed by, guys, what बच्चों पीछे? There will be many mammary ducts. Many mammary tubules which will be opened into an alveolus. Got the arrangement? Yes. So one alveolus will secrete the milk into the lumen, which will go into the mammary tubules, which will go into the mammary duct, which will go at the ampulla and get stored over there. What my point? And when the baby will suckle on the nipple of the mother, I told you it has got a lot of neurons, sensitive. Straight away it goes to what? CNS. The CNS has got hypothalamus. The hypothalamus secretes oxytocin. Oxytocin acts on the myoepithelial cells. The milk is ejected out. Did you understand the structure of the mammary gland? So if you very quickly, these are what? Modified sweat gland. And each breast is made up of what? Fatty connective tissue and numerous milk producing, milk carrying lactiferous glands. Milk producing lactiferous glands. So there are two things: fatty tissue and lactiferous glands. So as a female enters into the age of puberty, but not pregnancy, she has more amount of adipose. But with the onset of pregnancy, she'll have more amount of lactiferous glands. Okay, each breast is made up of how many mammary in these three diagrams? The middle one. One mammary lobes. So how many of them are below? Around 15 to 20. 1, 2, 3. You see them? Ayana? Yes. No. See. So who is this entire thing? Mammary lobe. Right? Each mammary lobe is made up of? And each alveolus is made up of myoepithelial cells surrounding, which are surrounding the milk producing cells, lumen वगैरह. ठीक है, easy है ना बच्चों? हाँ. The alveolus will open into mammary tubules. Mammary tubules will form the mammary ducts. Mammary ducts will join to form ampullary region. Ampulla will open into the one lactiferous, and the lactiferous duct will open at the region of the nipple. Okay. Simple. Take. Did you all follow this point, everyone? And today only I have shared the PPT with you, so you can make yourself notes from there also. Right? Are we clear? Any questions here, bachcho? You have to remember this sequence, huh? Okay. Next. Just a little over. Little bit नीचे. बस. बस. Okay. Now. So yesterday we studied the structure of the ovary, right, kids? Today we want to talk about the internal structure of the ovary. क्या डिस्कस करेंगे? Internal structure of the ovary. Great. So let me make an imaginary diagram. So who is this? It's a transverse section of the ovary. Okay. Now, the ovary histology shows that. क्या गलती हो गई हमारे से? तो तुरंत हाँ कैमरा में जीती मत करो हमारा सर. हाँ टेक चालू है. तो it is lined by so bright droid. So what is it lined by? It is lined by cuboidal epithelium. Okay, and beneath that cuboidal epithelium is the connective tissue, which is called as the tunica albuginea. The transverse section of the ovary shows that it shows a single layer of cells, which is called as the germinal epithelium. Okay, and the connective tissue, which is called as the tunica Albugenia. Got it? Now, internally, the ovary is divided into two parts. The inner part of the ovary, which has got blood vessels and nerves, is called as the medulla. And the outer regions of the ovary is called as the cortex. So what is the outer part for bachalo? Cortex. And the inner part is called as the medulla. Okay? And within the cortex, there is two important things taking place. One is called folliculogenesis, and the other step is called as oogenesis. So within the cortex of the ovary, there is development of follicles, which is called as folliculogenesis, and within the follicles there is development of the female gamete, which is called as oogenesis. You got my point? So what are the two things there, Vacho? Folliculogenesis, oogenesis. So I said internally I divided into a inner part medulla and outer part which is called as the cortex. And cortex is the site of folliculogenesis and oogenesis. You got it, all of you? Yes or no? Okay. So first, let us try to study in detail about the process of what? Folliculogenesis. These are the different types of follicles that are developing inside a mature ovary. Okay, just scroll it down. Okay, now see here, Vachalo. It's very easy until you don't sleep like her, Tanvi on the first bench. Okay, she started her dozing off. Now, let us study. उठाया झोपायचं नाही. Now, हम लोग कहाँ थे? तन्वी? हम लोग घर पे, ओवरी के अंदर. तो फ्रेम बाय फ्रेम पढ़ाता हूं आपको, फ्रेम बाय फ्रेम. ओके, द फर्स्ट फ्रेम. इजी. The ovary shows the presence of the oogonia. What are these? Oogonia. And these oogonia results in the formation of the primary oocyte. क्या फॉर्म करता है वो? Primary oocytes. And this primary oocyte is surrounded by these flattened cells. It is surrounded by the flattened cells, which have been derived from the cortical tissue. Okay, and this primary oocyte has been derived from where, Bachalo? Oogonia. I hope you got my point. From where have these flattened cells been derived from? Cortical cells, cortex cells. And the primary oocyte has been derived from oogonia. Got my point? Gradually, these cells, they become columnar. Okay? And now this structure is called as the primordial follicle. What do you call the structure? Primordial. So what does the primordial follicle consist of? What does the primordial follicle consist of? Primary oocytes along with what? The follicular cells. Together it is called as the primordial follicle. So center में कौन है? Primary oocyte. और इस साइड में कौन से सेल्स है बच्चों लोग? Follicular cells. Now see the change. Who is this? Primary oocyte. And this primary oocyte is surrounded by a glycoproteinaceous layer which is called as the zona pellucida. क्या कहते हैं उसको? Zona pellucida. And the columnar follicular cells. Now this is a new structure that has been developed. This is called as the early primary follicle. क्या कहते हैं इसको? Early primary follicle. Okay. So क्या change आया? Primary oocyte है. यहाँ पे कौन सा oocyte है बच्चों? We are having a primary oocyte. And what is the primary oocyte surrounded by? Zona pellucida along with follicular cells. And this is called as the early primary follicle. So what is the change that we have noticed there? The presence of a layer which is called as zona pellucida. Now, these follicular cells, the follicular cells, undergo cell division. This is the primary oocyte, followed by which cells, bachalo? Which layer? Zona pellucida. And I said that now these cells are undergoing what? Cell division. And these cells are now called membrana granulosa cells. What do you call the cells? Membrana granulosa cells. So what do I see now? Primary oocyte with a zona pellucida along with the membrana granulosa cells is called as a late primary follicle. क्या कहते हैं उसको? Late primary follicle. Okay. And here the stromal tissue, the cortical tissue, forms a layer around the membrana granulosa cells that is called theca folliculi. क्या उसको? Theca folliculi. Theca मतलब covering over the follicle. It's called as theca follicula. So you got transverse section of the ovary, and I said that the ovary has got outermost covering of the germinal epithelium, followed by the tunica albuginea. Internally we divided into outer cortex, inner medulla. The medulla shows the presence of blood vessels and nerves. Outer cortex shows the presence of many developing follicles, and that process is called folliculogenesis. Inside the follicles, there is development of the oob, that is called as oogenesis. So first, we are talking about what? Folliculogenesis. Oogonia resulted in the formation of a primary oocyte, and the cortical tissue, its cells, surrounded the primary oocyte as flattened cells, which later on became columnar. That is called as the primordial follicle. Did you get my point? So oogonal cells and ये जो फॉलिकुलर सेल्स है, दोनों का ओरिजिन सेम है कि अलग अलग है? सेम है कि अलग अलग है? अलग अलग जगह से आया ना, बराबर है. प्राइमरी oocyte किस में से आया? ऊगोनिया में से. और ऊगोनिया एम्ब्रियोनिक डेवलपमेंट के टाइम पे कहीं और से माइग्रेट होके उधर आया हुआ है. ओके, तो फगर सेल्स वगैरह ऐसे कुछ नाम देते हैं हम लोग. और आजू बाजू के जो फॉलिकुलर सेल्स है वो कहाँ से डेवलप हुए हैं? वो जो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू था वहां से. तो ये क्या बना हमारा? प्राइमोर्डियल फॉलिकल. अब वो प्राइमोर्डियल फॉलिकल में क्या चेंज आया? द प्राइमरी oocyte got covered by zona pellucida. Is it a cellular or non-cellular layer? क्या बोला था मैंने? It's a non-cellular layer which is called as zona pellucida. So now what do we have? Primary oocyte, zona pellucida, followed by follicular cells called as the early primary follicle. Now what happens to the follicular cells? They undergo division to form many layers, and that is called as the membrana granulosa. And the membrana granulosa is covered by a fibrous theca folliculi, which has once again been derived from the connective tissues. Okay, and now that is called as the late primary follicle. Learn all the sequence, and I'm going to ask you randomly now, because now I go forward. Learn. Yes, Shruti Patil. Tell me what are the two parts of the OD? Inner medulla, outer. Inner medulla made up of. श्रुति है, सब श्रुति बन गए यहाँ पे लेफ्ट में. बहुत सारी श्रुतियां आ गई हैं. हाँ, टेल मी. It is made up of vessels and nerves. Said. Yes, Aditya. Continue. Tell me the formation of the follicle. Explain to me folliculogenesis.
Primary follicle is formed. The cells are called follicular cells. Then the primary oocytes, then follicular cells, including zona, pellucidia.
Pellucidia. Is it cellular or non-cellular? Okay, then.
And then again, form the late primary follicle, which is surrounded by theca follicle.
Surrounded by Thuga.
It forms the theca follicle.
Okay. follicle. Say. Now what to change now? Now the theca folliculi. We are paying attention to which place now? Theca folliculi. Okay. The theca folliculi, outer layer of the theca folliculi is fibrous tissues. Okay. Which tissues is it? Fibrous tissues. And that is called the theca externa. What do you call it? Theca externa. And the connective tissue cells, they form a layer of cells, the cortex cells. They form a layer beneath the what bachalo? Theca externa, and that layer is called the what bachalo? Theca interna. And this theca interna releases the female sex hormone, which is called as estrogen. So now you have got theca externa and theca interna. And this is the primary oocyte, followed by whom bachalo? Zona pellucida, and it is surrounded by cells of the membrana granulosa. Which cells? Membrana granulosa. It's okay if I don't draw the whole thing. You understood what I am trying to tell you? You understood? Now this structure is given a name which is called as the secondary follicle. Now this called secondary follicle. What does the secondary follicle show the presence of? Who are these all blue cells? Tell me what are the name of these blue cells? The membrana granulosa cells. कौन से cells है ये? Membrana granulosa cells. All of you? Okay. And now this structure is called as which follicle? Secondary follicle. So now the secondary follicle is showing the presence of outer and inner layers called theca externa, theca interna, and the theca interna as endocrine cells which are secreting estrogen. Okay. तो oogonia, याद है oogonia? oogonia किस में चेंज होगा? प्राइमरी oocyte. सराउंडिंग दो कॉर्टिकल सेल्स जो है वो बाजू में आएंगे, क्या बनाएंगे? फॉलिक्यूलर सेल्स. तो क्या बन गया? प्राइमोर्डियल फॉलिकल. फिर प्राइमरी oocyte के आजू बाजू में कौन आ गया? जोना पेलुसिडा. साइड में कौन है? फॉलिक्यूलर सेल्स. तो क्या बन गया? अर्ली प्राइमरी फॉलिकल. बराबर है. फिर ये जो फॉलिकुलर सेल्स डिवाइड हो गए तो कौन क्या बन गया? मेम्ब्रेना ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स. अब क्या बन गया? वो लेट प्राइमरी फॉलिकल. बराबर है. उसके अराउंड एक फाइब्रस कवरिंग था, उसको क्या कहा हम लोगों ने? थीका फॉलिक्यूलाई. फिर नेक्स्ट क्या चेंज आया? थीका एक्सटर्ना बना, थीका इंटरना बना. थीका इंटरना क्या सिक्रीट करता है? एस्ट्रोजन. तो एक प्राइमरी oocyte है, जोना पेलुसिडा है, मेम्ब्रेना ग्रैनुलोसा है, थीका इंटरना है, थीका एक्सटर्ना है. बराबर है. क्या क्या है अभी तक हमारे पास? प्राइमरी oocyte है, फिर जोना पेलुसिडा है, फिर मेम्ब्रेना ग्रैनुलोसा है, थीका इंटरना है, थीका एक्सटर्ना है. तो ये बाहर वाला लेयर कौन सा होगा बच्चों? थीका एक्सटर्ना. और ये अंदर वाले सेल कौन है? थीका इंटरना. राइट. एंड this is your oocyte surrounded by who? Zona pellucida. Now the change is we see the presence of a cavity. What is this cavity called? Antrum. And this antrum is filled with a liquid called liquor folliculi. क्या कहते हैं उसको? लिकर फॉलिक्यूलाई. बाकी सारे सेल्स तो है ही. क्या बोलते हैं उन सेल्स को हम लोग? मेम्ब्रेना ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स. Right, everybody? So what is the change that has been come about now? इसके पहले cavity नहीं था ना? Now we are seeing the presence of a cavity. What is the cavity called? Antrum. And this antrum के आने की वजह से now this is called as a tertiary follicle. What do you call it? Tertiary follicle. So what is the difference between a secondary follicle and tertiary follicle? The presence of that cavity called antrum. It has created a new follicle which is called as the tertiary follicle. So if you see कि पुराने स्ट्रक्चर्स तो वही है, कुछ कुछ नया नया ऐड होते जा रहा है. पहले क्या था? प्राइमरी oocyte था और फॉलिकुलर सेल्स थे. वो क्या था? प्राइमोर्डियल फॉलिकल था. एक नया स्ट्रक्चर ऐड हुआ बीच में, जोना पेलिसुला अर्ली प्राइमरी फॉलिकल बन गया. फिर क्या हुआ? वो सेल्स डिवाइड हुए, एक थीका आ गया, तो क्या बन गया? वो लेड बन गया. बराबर है. फिर उसके बाद थीका का डिफरेंशिएशन हुआ, एक्सटर्नल इंटरनल. इंटरनल कर रहा है एस्ट्रोजन, अब वो बन गया सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल. अब ये सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल के बीच में कौन आ गया? एंट्रम. अब ये क्या बन रहा है बच्चों लोग? टर्शियरी फॉलिकल. क्या हो रहा है? फॉलिक्यूलोजेनेसिस. अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ व्हिच हार्मोन? एफएसएच, फॉलिकल स्टिमुलेटिंग हार्मोन. आ गया ना समझ बच्चों लोग? सीक्वेंशियल है और वही याद आपको रखना. सीक्वेंस. डू यू वांट मी टू रिपीट और शुड आई प्रोसीड फर्दर बच्चों लोग? बस ना. हाँ. यस जोशी. हाँ. गो डाउन 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 डाउन. बस. ओके. Who is this? Antrum. वाह, कितना होशियार बच्चा उतना. ये कौन है? प्राइमरी oocytes. ये कौन से सेल्स है? मेम्ब्रेना ग्रैन्युलोसा. ये कौन है? थीका. ये कौन है? थीका एक्सटर्ना. ये कौन है? जोना पेलुसिडा. Now look at the size of the antrum. Can I say, Joshi, the size of the antrum has reduced? No. So the size of the antrum has increased. What is my point? The size of the antrum has increased. And now the primary oocyte changes. How? Come to know later. Into a new cell which is called as a secondary oocyte. क्या फॉर्म हुआ? सेकेंडरी oocyte. एक छोटा सा डायग्राम बनाते हैं यहाँ पे. ये कौन है बच्चों? ये कौन है? दुबे जी, कौन है ये? Secondary oocyte. And what is the secondary oocyte surrounded by? Zona pellucida. These are some of the tiring diagrams of चलो. और ये थीका इंटरना, थीका एक्सटर्ना. तो उसको सरका देता हूं मेरे को. Now, so can I say there is formation of a large cavity? Give me yes or no. Yes. And what is this large cavity called, bachlo? Antrum. Antrum. Now see, those membrana granulosa cells, those membrana granulosa cells which are surrounding the secondary oocyte. Can I say I am talking about these cells? Ayana, give me yes or no. Yes. I am talking about these cells. Can I say they are surrounding the secondary oocytes? Got it? These are called cumulus oophoricus. क्या होता है उसको? Okay. And in the future we'll call them as the corona radiata cells. क्या बोलो उसको? Corona radiata cells. Corona means a crown. Crown. So the secondary oocyte is wearing a crown of corona radiata cells. Do you see these cells? Yes or no? I'm sorry. Don't use the word cumulus oophoricus for the corona radiata cells. Okay. Corona radiata cells will only be what? Corona radiata cells. That is, those cells were surrounding the what? Secondary oocyte. Now look at these cells. Can I say they are connecting the secondary oocyte with the rest of the membrana granulosa cells? This is called as the germ hill. क्या होता है उसको? और cumulus oophoricus. What do you call it? Germ hill or the cumulus oophoricus. नाम आ गए, लेकिन समझ में आया सबको? तो सबसे बाहर वाले लेयर कौन है? थीका एक्सटर्ना, फिर थीका, फिर मेम्ब्रेना, ये बड़ी कैविटी कौन है? जिसके वजह से सेकेंडरी ऊसर उधर है कि शिफ्ट हो गया, थोड़ा इसेंट्रिक हो गया, और वो सेल्स जो उसको सराउंड करते हैं उसको हम लोग क्या करते हैं? कोरोना रेडियाटा. एंड इट इज कनेक्टेड टू द membrana granulosa through the germ hill, that is the cumulus oophoricus. And now this follicle is called as a mature follicle or the Graafian follicle. So what were the stages of development? Primordial follicle, early primary follicle, late primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle or the mature follicle. Okay, one by one I'll give you one follicle you have to explain. We start with Harsh. Yeah, Harsh, start with the primordial follicle. आदित्य जरा ये कर दे, इसको म्यूट कर दे. हाँ, Graafian follicle. Now you all remember the Graafian follicle? Huh? The Graafian follicle ruptures. Who ruptures? Graafian follicle ruptures. And as the Graafian follicle ruptures, it releases the secondary oocyte. Give me yes or no? Yes. Now the secondary oocyte is surrounded by which cells? Corona radiata cells. And this release is called ovulation. क्या कहते हैं इसको? Ovulation. The rupture of the Graafian follicle to release the secondary oocyte is called as ovulation. And अंदर टिश्यू ब्रेकडाउन वगैरह होगा कि नहीं? तो there is formation of a blood clot, resulting in the formation of a structure which is called, now this word is not there in the text, corpus hemorrhagicum. क्या कहते हैं उसको? Corpus hemorrhagicum. And now that who? Corpus hemorrhagicum heals itself. मतलब अभी वो देखो क्लोज हो गया और अंदर देखो सेल्स फॉर्म हो गए, and they have a yellow color protein called lutein, resulting in the formation of a new structure which is called the corpus luteum. Yes or no? Ayana? And this corpus luteum secretes the female sex hormone. What is the female sex hormone it secretes? Progesterone. Okay, it secretes a female sex hormone, which is called as progesterone. Now, if fertilization does not take place, if fertilization does not take place, अब याद है आप लोगों ने सेकेंडरी oocyte रिलीज किया था, वो सेकेंडरी oocyte कहाँ पे है, आपको याद है? ये देखो बच्चों, ये हम लोग ने लास्ट टाइम यूट्रस देखा था, राइट? एंड ये कौन था बच्चों लोग? फेलोपियन ट्यूब्स. और ये कौन है? ओवरी. ये ओवरी ने यहाँ पे क्या रिलीज किया? यहाँ पे सेकेंडरी oocyte. और यहाँ पे बच्चों क्या है? कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम. और इधर कौन है बच्चों? एंडोमेट्रियम. ये तीनों चीज साथ में समझ में आई आपको, है ना? वहां कौन है? सेकेंडरी, बोलो ना, बरोबर कि नहीं? सेकेंडरी oocyte. वो ओवरी के अंदर कौन है? कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम. और वो कौन है? एंडोमेट्रियम. ठीक है. अब एक पॉसिबिलिटी ऐसी है कि समझो स्पर्म आया ही नहीं, फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ ही नहीं, ठीक है, तो अल्टीमेटली जो है ये सेकेंडरी oocyte जिंदा रहता है कि मर ही जाएगा? मर जाता है. फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ ही नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ वहां पे. सो कुछ दिनों के बाद even the corpus luteum becomes dead, scar tissue, dead tissue, which is called corpus albicans. क्या होता है उसको? Corpus albicans. And the moment the corpus luteum dies, this endometrium will break. There are some hormones which will become less. And what will start will be what bachlo? Menstrual cycle. The hormone का interplay will do later, but right now you got the sequence. What is happening? एक जगह पे corpus luteum form हुआ, यहाँ पे कुछ आगे डेवलपमेंट बढ़ा ही नहीं, तो अल्टीमेटली corpus luteum भी मर के क्या बन गया? corpus albicans. यहाँ पे भी क्या हो गया? मेंसेस स्टार्ट हो गया. Got my point? ये नॉर्मली किस में होगा? In a non-pregnant female who is still in her reproductive age. Understood my point? Other possibilities, I'll show the other possibilities the same side like this. Who is this? Fallopian tube. ये क्या फॉर्म हुआ यहाँ पे? Cl. कौन है? Corpus luteum. ये यहाँ पे कौन है बच्चों? Endo. Secondary oocytes. और ये कौन है? फर्टिलाइजेशन हो गया. क्या हो गया? तो ये क्या बन गया? जाइगोट. ये देखो जाइगोट पुश हो गया और अंदर बरी हो गया, मतलब प्रेगनेंसी स्टार्ट हो गई. हाँ या ना? कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम रिमेन्स अलाइव. कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम, द एंडोमेट्रियम डज नॉट ब्रेक. मेंसेस कम्स और स्किप्स. प्रेगनेंसी स्टार्टेड. है समझ में? कौन से हॉर्मोन्स है, क्या है, वो इंटरप्ले क्या है, क्यों ऐसा, इसका आंसर कहाँ दिया जाएगा? मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल. आई बात समझ में? लेकिन उसके पहले एक ओवरव्यू समझ में आ गया आपको? कितनी पॉसिबिलिटीज एक फीमेल की लाइफ में बच्चों ड्यूरिंग हर रिप्रोडक्टिव एजेस? 2. She will get her menses or she will not get her menses, and that totally depends upon one event. What is that? Fertilization. अगर fertilization होके there is formation of zygote, then what will happen? Corpus luteum will remain alive, endometrium will, menses will not start, they will skip. Pregnancy has started. Ulta, no fertilization, corpus luteum dead to form corpus albicans, endometrium breaks, menses start. I think so it's easy, bachcha. Hai na? So what do we have? Early primordial follicle, late primordial follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle, corpus hemorrhagicum, corpus luteum, and corpus albicans. So the corpus luteum will be dead and the dead white scar tissue is called as the corpus albicans. I hope the class followed nicely everybody, है ना? फिट हो गया, दिमाग में फिट हो गया सबके? तो अभी जस्ट मैंने आपको डिटेल में क्या समझाया? फॉलिक्यूलोजेनेसिस समझा कि oogenesis समझा? फॉलिक्यूलोजेनेसिस, ठीक है ना? हाँ ना, so if I ask you which part of the follicle releases estrogen, Shravani, which part of the follicle releases estrogen and which part of the ovary releases progesterone? What is the fate of the corpus luteum?
If fertilization occurs, it remains alive, and if it does not, it turns into a scar tissue called corpus albicans.
Okay, when is the secondary follicle called as the tertiary follicle?
And the antrum enlarges.
When the antrum enlarges, or when you get the formation of an antrum, correct? Now, what is the antrum filled with, dear?
Liquor follicle.
Liquor folliculi. Between the corpus, between the Graafian follicle and the corpus luteum, there is a stage for a small period of time. What is that called? Where it is filled with blood clot?
Corpus hemorrhagicum.
Corpus hemorrhagicum, है ना? बेटर, क्लियर है दिमाग में सबको? Should I start with the next part? आप 11th में ना, 12th में आप क्या छोड़ने के लिए क्लास? आओ आ जाओ, चलो तुम रीज़न भी आप ऐसे बता दो। एक आध बार बोलती बकरा मंडी गई थी तो फिर नहीं लेता मैं। चलो आगे पढ़ाओ कि रिवाइज करता है माइंड में, तुम लोग ले पाएंगे ना? बॉयज पीछे, श्रीनंद शवनी उधर अपना कौन नहीं शर्वरी, हाँ। What is oogenesis? What is oogenesis? Formation of the ovum is called as oogenesis. And what is the formation of the sperm called? Spermatogenesis. Don't shout. Spermatogenesis. अब एक बात बताओ बच्चों, आप थोड़ा अचंभित हो जाओगे। स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस कब स्टार्ट होता है? स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस मेल्स में कब स्टार्ट होता है? प्यूबर्टी, एट द एज ऑफ अराउंड 15. Brother, that was quite late then. Okay, you're thinking of the standard you were in. Okay, at the age of 12-13 spermatogenesis start. But you know when oogenesis start? Just guess. Julie, now Julie, guess when does oogenesis start? No, yeah, Shruti Patil. Embryonic, कैसा तेरे को, कैसे तूने बोला ऐसा? कहाँ पढ़ा था? कहाँ से उठाया तूने? किधर पढ़ा था? किधर पढ़ा था बोलती हूँ? कुछ चल तू तो बोली पढ़ा था, बैठ नीचे। हाँ, oogenesis begins in the fetal life. It begins in which life? When a girl child was in the womb of her mother. At that time only oogenesis has started. I hope you got my point, Bachilo. So now if I ask you, when does oogenesis start? During the fetal life. Achha, where is oogenesis taking place? In the uterus or in the ovaries? Ovaries. It's a no-brainer. And it begins during the fetal life. It temporarily stops during her childhood and it resumes back when she reaches the age of puberty. And then it permanently stops at the time of menopause. Matlab, the female has passed her reproductive age. You got my point? वो दक्ष के पीछे कौन है? अरे यार सॉरी रॉकी भाई, आपको तो क्या बोलेगा मैं. हाँ, आप बड़ा गया तो बाहर खड़ा रहेगा, हमारा पूरा प्रारंभ कोई उड़ा देगा गोली वोली मार मार के. नहीं भाई, आपको नहीं कुछ बोल सकता. आप बैठो. हाँ, तो कहाँ था मैं? कब शुरुआत होती है? फिटल लाईफ में. फिर पॉज कब लग जाता है? आपण वेणी नंतर बांधूया का? हाँ, नंतर. त्याच्यानंतर थर्ड, फिर से रिज्यूम कब होता है? प्यूबर्टी में. और टेम्पररी स्टॉप कब होता है? मेनोपॉज. कब स्टॉप होता है? क्या? परमानेंटली स्टॉप. नाउ ड्यूरिंग द फीटल स्टेज. ओके. हाँ मैडम, बहुत खुश लग रहे हो आज. So during the fetal stage, what do you have? Oogonium. The diploid oogonium. Huh? No noise making. दिमाग में अच्छे से डाल दो. It undergoes what? Mitosis. Even Sai is participating now in that. Mitosis. And it results in the formation of what? Primary oocyte. Got my point? And now the primary oocyte begins its meiosis. But it gets arrested. In prophase 1 of meiosis 1. In prophase 1 of meiosis 1. So when a girl child is born, she is having primordial follicles with primary oocytes arrested at prophase 1 of meiosis 1. I hope my class followed बच्चों लोग. क्या बोला? हिंदी में बोलूं फिर से. During fetal stage, we have cells called as the oogonium. The oogonium undergoes mitosis to form primary oocytes. And these primary oocytes are covered by follicular cells that result in the formation of the primordial follicle with the zona pellucida. Now the girl child is born. At that time, the primary oocytes are arrested at prophase 1 of meiosis 1. So what is the girl child having in her ovaries? Primary oocytes. Surrounded by zona pellucida. Surrounded by follicular cells. And this whole structure is called primordial follicle. Later on we will read from the NCERT how many primordial follicles are there when the girl child is born. How many are left at the time of puberty? That will come later. हाँ? अभी इतना तो रंगमंच बना दे दिमाग में. हाँ, ठीक है. सिद्धार्थ भाई क्या ढूंढ रहे हो वहां पे बुक में? अब कौन सा टाइम आया? फर्स्ट स्टँडर्ड सेकंड स्टँडर्ड बोलायची गरज नाही. चाइल्डहुड बोलायचं. चाइल्डहुड. फर्स्ट स्टँडर्ड सर्व सांगते. फर्स्ट स्टँडर्ड, सेकंड स्टँडर्ड, थर्ड स्टँडर्ड, फोर्थ स्टँडर्ड. सिर्फ एक ही वर्ड यूज करेगा. क्या? चाइल्डहुड. सो व्हेन इज चाइल्डहुड? फ्रॉम up to the age of puberty is called childhood. Now as she enters into what will you know? Puberty. Up to menopause, every month this will occur. What will occur? The primary oocyte, which was arrested in its prophase 1 of will complete its meiosis 1. So every month, normally, one primary oocyte will complete its meiosis 1, resulting in the formation of two cells. One cell is called as the secondary oocyte and the other is called as the first polar body. One cell is called as the secondary oocyte and the other is called as the first polar body. Now this secondary oocyte and the first polar body, they are a products of meiosis 1 or meiosis 2. So what is the natural thing that is going to occur? They should undergo meiosis 2. बरोबर कि नहीं? But here the secondary oocyte is arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Where it is arrested, bachalo? Metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. And it is inside a structure which is called as the mature follicle or the Graafian follicle. So can you correlate now? Till the time of childbirth, what was present? Primordial follicle with the primary oocyte. Now as every month starts, this primordial follicle will be changed into what? Primary. You remember early and late primary follicles with the primary oocytes, which will change into what, bachalo? Secondary follicle with the primary oocyte. But with the formation of the mature Graafian follicle, you see the presence of a secondary oocyte which is arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Ayana? So tell me, primordial follicle has primary oocyte or secondary oocyte? Primary follicle. Secondary follicle. Primary. Graafian follicle. Okay. When is the secondary oocyte form? When is the secondary oocyte form? Fetal life, childhood, or with the onset of puberty? बराबर है? Why is it formed? Because now the primary oocyte will finish its meiosis 1 and form the secondary oocyte in the first polar body. Clear, everybody? Now ovulation will take place. What will take place, bacho? You remember ovulation? That is the release of the secondary oocyte. And remember, if fertilization takes place, as the sperm will enter inside, it will provide the centrioles, and now the secondary oocyte will complete its meiosis 2, and it will result in the formation of a mature ovum, which is called as an ootid. What do you call it? Ootid. And this will result in the formation of the second polar body. क्या फॉर्म होगा बच्चों? Second polar body. I hope you got my point, everybody. So what happens to the secondary oocyte? It is arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Does it complete its meiosis 2? No. Only if sperm enters inside, then only it will complete its meiosis 2. And then it will result in the formation of a mature ovum, that is a ootid, along with the second polar body. So in a female where fertilization does not take place, हमको क्या मिलेगा बच्चों? सिर्फ secondary oocyte. Now this thing may or may not take place. That is, the first polar body may or may not. If it completes its meiosis 2, you will get 2 more polar bodies, 3 and 4. So total how many polar bodies you will get? 1, 2, 3. Second polar body, first right. So how many polar bodies will have? 3. Okay, second polar body, and the new 2 polar bodies have come from the first polar body. So totally how many polar bodies we have? 3 polar bodies, and one will be the ooted. What my point? So can I say that the oogonium has basically undergone what bachalo? Meiosis, and has resulted in the formation of how many cells? 4 haploid cells. How many haploid cells? 4 haploid cells, out of which 3 of them, they are not the gamete. You can say they degenerate, and they are what bachalo? Polar bodies. And one that is functional will ultimately form the mature ovum or the ooted. This reminds me of megaspore mother cell, which is diploid, which will undergo what? Meiosis, resulting in the formation of 4 haploid megaspores. 3 of them will degenerate. One is called as the functional megaspore. So why do you get the formation of the polar bodies? Because in meiosis, one cell results in the formation of how many daughter cells? 4 daughter cells. This will allow the proper distribution of the DNA and the contents of the cell. That is why you will get divided into how many? 4 cells. But अभी अगर एक साथ 4 ओवम होते थे तो एक फीमेल में कितनी बेबीज डेवलप होने की पॉसिबिलिटीज बढ़ती थी? 4. और ह्यूमन बीइंग्स नॉर्मली कितनी बेबीज कैरी करती है? 1. बराबर है? तो वो 3 को हम लोग ने क्या कर दिया? पोलर बॉडीज में क्या कर दिया? चेंज कर दिया, और एक क्या रखा? फंक्शनल ओवम रख दिया. आई होप यू गॉट माय पॉइंट. यस और नो? सो डू यू गेट 4 ओवम्स? नो, you get only 1 functional ovum and 3 polar bodies. ओके, 2 polar bodies तो फिक्स है, बराबर है. अगर ये पहली वाली का डिवीजन हुआ तो और 2 मिलेंगे, तो टोटल कितने हो जाएंगे? 3 पोलर बॉडीज. तो ये पूरे प्रोसेस को हमने क्या नाम दिया बच्चों? oogenesis. I hope the class followed the entire process. So oogenesis got divided into how many parts? 3 parts. First part was during the fetal life, second part was during the, third part was during the puberty up to menopause. Which part is temporary stop? Childhood. But the process begins in? It begins in fetal life. It restarts in? How does it begin in fetal life? It begins with the oogonium. Oogonium undergo mitosis, result in the formation of? बराबर है. Now the primary oocyte is arrested at prophase 1 of meiosis 1, and it is a part of dash follicle. दोनों साइमल्टेनियस होना है ना. हाँ, अब कुछ 10-12 years तक कुछ भी नहीं होगा, but with the onset of puberty, the primordial follicle will change into early primary follicle and the late primary follicle and the secondary follicle. Yes or no? और वहां पे क्या होगा बच्चों? The primary oocyte which was arrested in prophase 1 of meiosis 1, it will undergo meiosis 1 and result in the formation of the secondary oocyte and the first polar body. अब ये secondary oocyte किसके अंदर है? secondary follicle के अंदर है कि graphian follicle के अंदर है? graphian follicle के अंदर. तो secondary oocyte तक कौन सा रहता है? primary oocyte. फिर क्या होगा बच्चों? What do you have there? Secondary oocyte. Will it undergo meiosis 2 or will it stop? It will get arrested at which stage? Of. और उधर क्या फॉर्म होगा? फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी. अब क्या चेंज आएगा मतलब बचाओ? अगर स्पर्म आया और स्पर्म ने अगर एंट्री ले लिया किसके अंदर? ओवम के अंदर. ये आया हुआ है PYQ. आफ्टर द एंट्री ऑफ द स्पर्म, then only it will undergo meiosis 2 and it will result in the formation of the ooted or the mature ovum. Got my point? The first polar body may or may not divide. If it divides, you will have three polar bodies and one functional egg, that is the ovum. Did you get the sequence, everybody? Yes. Let's see the NCERT text. Give me one. Okay, we'll read through now together. Are we on page number 48, everyone? Page number 48, everybody. Now, let's read together. The process of formation of mature female gamete. The process of formation of mature female gamete is called dash oogenesis, which is markedly different from spermatogenesis. So it says that oogenesis is different from spermatogenesis. Can you point out some differences between oogenesis and spermatogenesis? Raise your hand and give me the answer. Yes, Shay?
Oogenesis starts at fetal life and spermatogenesis at puberty.
Okay, another difference? Think and tell me what's the problem. सोचो बच्चों, आ जाएगा. It's not difficult. Yes, Veer Pratap. Yeah, tell me. What is your point? We are ready to listen. Bol? No problem. बाटा का चप्पल है, फटा हुआ चप्पल है बाटा का. बोलते हैं स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस में स्पर्म फॉर्म होता है और oogenesis में ओवम. क्या एग्जामिनर इसको रॉन्ग दे सकता है? नहीं दे सकता, नहीं दे सकता इसको. बराबर है. नेक्स्ट, ऐसा पॉइंट मत बताओ, कुछ दूसरा बताओ. चलो फटाफट. टेल मी. कम ऑन कासिम. So you mean to say spermatogenesis is a continuous process, whereas oogenesis is an intermittent process. ठीक है, चलो accept it. Next.
एक ही ओवम फॉर्म होता है, many.
हाँ, एक फंक्शनल ओवम फॉर्म होता है और यहाँ पे 4 फंक्शनल स्पर्म्स फॉर्म होते हैं. ठीक है. I'm tired of cheerleading for you guys. Now I'll read it further only. You don't want to answer, I'll read it. Now let us see. कासेब, कहाँ मिस गया भाई? इसको बंद कर, लेकिन इसमें टेंशन मत ले. So when is oogenesis initiated, बच्चों लोग? During the fetal life. And usually at fetal life, how many oogonium does a female child have? They have written over there. It has couple of million gamete mother cells, which are called as the oogonia, which are formed within each fetal ovary. So one ovary of the fetus has how many oogonia? About कपल मतलब 2 मिलियन ना. बाकी जगह कपल बराबर समझ में आता है और यहाँ पे कपल ऑफ मिलियन गैमेट समझ में नहीं आ रहा तुम लोग को. बराबर कि नहीं? हाँ. सो क्या लिखा है यहाँ पे? एम्ब्रियोनिक स्टेजेस में हाउ मेनी gamete mother cells? What are the gamete mother cells called? Oogonia. How many of them are there? Couple of million. Couple of million मतलब how many million? 2 million in each ovary. Huh? Underline that in your brain. सो नाउ क्या इससे और उगोनिया ऐड होगा? नहीं। ठीक, आगे बढ़ते हैं। सारा को देखो नींद आ रही है। हाँ, these cells start division and enter into the prophase 1 of meiosis 1 and get temporarily arrested at that stage, and they are called what? Primary oocytes. Each primary oocytes then gets surrounded by a layer of granular cells and is called as the primary follicle. Yes or no? Look over there, the primordial follicle will form what? ये देखो, the primordial follicle will result in the formation of which follicle? Primary follicle. Now listen to this beautiful point. A large number of these follicles will degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty. Therefore, at the time of puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. Got my point? तो fetal period में कितने थे बच्चों बूगोनिया? 2 million. But by the time प्यूबर्टी आ जाती है बच्चों लोग, सबके सब क्या होते हैं? डीजनरेट. इसको वर्ड है फॉलिकुलर एट्रेशिया. क्या वर्ड है उसके लिए बच्चों लोग? फॉलिकुलर एट्रेशिया. Got my point? Siddharth, a large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty. Therefore, at puberty, only how much? 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of granular cells and a new theca and are called as what? Secondary follicles. ये तो बताया था ना मैं आपको, primary follicles के अराउंड क्या आया? थीका आया. फिर थीका का क्या बन गया? थीका एक्सटर्नल, थीका इंटरनल, और हमको क्या मिला? सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल. The secondary follicle soon transforms into a tertiary follicle, which is characterized by a fluid-filled cavity, which is called as antrum. The theca layer is organized into inner theca interna and outer theca externa. Okay, it is important to draw your attention that it is the stage that the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. मतलब tertiary follicle के तक उसके अंदर क्या रहता है? Primary oocyte. समझा मेरा बात? और जब वो अपना मियोसिस कंप्लीट कर लेता है तब क्या बन जाता है? वो सेकेंडरी oocyte. और वो फॉलिकल भी क्या बन जाती है? ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. तो हमको एक बात क्लियरली ध्यान में रखना, जब तक ग्राफियन फॉलिकल नहीं आता हम एमसीक्यू में क्या मार्क करते रहेंगे? प्राइमरी oocyte, प्राइमरी oocyte, प्राइमरी oocyte, प्राइमरी oocyte. क्योंकि एनसीईआरटी क्लियरली बोलता है, क्या बोलते हैं क्लियरली? कि इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू ड्रॉ दक्ष's attention that it is at this stage that the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle. So tertiary follicle has got which oocyte? Primary oocyte. Now it will undergo meiosis 1, 2, 1. Dubiji, it will complete its meiosis 1 and it will form what? Secondary oocyte. Inside which follicle? Graphian follicle. સારું છે? સમજી ગયો બધાનું? So it's an unequal meiosis. The larger cell is called as the secondary oocyte and the smaller cell is called as the first polar body. And ज्यादा करके साइटोप्लाज्म किस में रिटेन हो जाता है? सेकेंडरी oocyte में. ऐसा बोलते हैं एनसीईआरटी. Can you think of any advantage for this? Yes, क्योंकि आने वाला जो जाइगोट है, एग है, जाइगोट है, वो इसी सेकेंडरी oocyte में डेवलप होने वाला है. तो उसको खाना पीना तो चाहिए ही नहीं उधर बराबर से. और ऐसा नहीं होता तो तीनों ओवम बन जाते. तो एक साथ कितने बेबीज की पॉसिबिलिटी बढ़ती? 4. ये सब होना नहीं चाहिए. हाँ देखो, does the first polar body born out of first meiotic division divide further or degenerate? At present we are not very certain about this. Okay, so I said may or may not. The tertiary follicle further changes into mature follicle or a Graafian follicle, and the secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it. Now, this is, they have mentioned it very late, bachcho. Zona pellucida formation does not take place very late. The sequence that I have given you is from Inderbeer Singh. That is the book used in first year medicine. वो पहले ही बोल देता है. तो मेजॉरिटी बुक्स जो है वो पहले ही फॉर्म करते हैं. अपना एनसीईआरटी नया डाल दिया यहाँ पे. क्या डाल दिया है कि द सेकेंडरी oocyte forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it. But zona pellucida you can remember it like this कि वहाँ पे जो membrane form हुई अभी secondary oocyte के अराउंड उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Zona pellucida. Okay, then the Graafian follicle now ruptures. This is called as ovulation. आया पूरा प्रोसेस समझ में? Yes or no? See if you have any questions here, बच्चे लोग. Does anybody have government textbook also? Just mute it. So do you have government textbook?